Hello, Chicago sports fans. Welcome back. Um, so I have been talking a lot about the Bears, some about the Cubs, and a little bit about the White Sox. Um, I have not been able to do a This Week in Chicago video this week, and I kind of just want to hop over a couple of things. I don't know if this video will be as long as my first initial This Week in Chicago video, but I do want to go over some things. I am rocking a different jersey today. We have on some nice Rome Odunze action. A nice new jersey that I have just gotten from Alibaba. There is a video on the channel about those if you would like to check it out. It is an unboxing. I test a couple of them, put them on, check the fit, and then we look at just like the general overall quality, which, I'll say it again right now. These Chinese jerseys are getting kind of really good. I have nothing bad to say about these at all. Now, in this video, I am using the Pro Video option on my phone, and I'm using my Galaxy Buds mic. So I just want to get some feedback from you guys on if my audio sounds any better in this video. So just let me know down in the comments if it sounds a little too muffled or anything like that. I'll go back to using the mic on my phone because I record with my S24 Ultra and it has pretty good audio and video quality, but I feel like the noise cancellation and some of the features on my headphones might make it sound just a little bit better. So let's get into it. I have not covered the Blackhawks a lot since basically night one of the year, and things aren't looking the greatest for the Blackhawks at all. They did get a win in their previous game over the Avalanche 5-2. That was on Monday. They play tomorrow at 9:30. And there's some couple of promising things that I see going on in the Blackhawks landscape. I think that I think that Bedard should have a pretty fantastic year if he can do what he did last year and avoid injury. Granted, his injury was from taking a puck to the face or a hockey stick or something, so he was out with his jaw being wired shut for a little while. But I think that if he's healthy for a whole season, he should be able to do some really neat things, and I want to see him grow and flourish into the player because a lot of people are drawing similarities between him and Patrick Kane. I think that those are 100% valid. I think that he could definitely do that. I think that Foligno getting the call to be the captain is really neat. I like his leadership. I think that he's going to be really good for the young guys, and I think that there's a lot of young talent on this Blackhawks team, and I think that the way that they're trying to set the lines each night to where there's a good balance of fresh talent and veteran presence, I think that that could pay off. I understand, being just 10 games into the season, really, dropping the games that you have dropped. Some of them were definitely winnable. But at the same time, they have not hit a regular season game so far without putting some type of points on the board. They have goals in every game so far, so they are producing. I think that, the goaltending slot is a little bit of a question mark right now, but I think as the season goes on, you're definitely going to see who is your prominent goalie. And, I think that with what the Blackhawks are trying to accomplish, I think it'll pay off. I would like to see some more of the younger talent on the same lines as far as, let me just look this up really quick. Like I said, I mostly think that the way that they had the lines mixed right now it will pay off for them. I think that having a couple of veterans on each line definitely helps out those young guys for sure. Like Joey Anderson, I think could be really good for us. Let's see who else we got here. I think Khrushchev is actually going to end up having a pretty standout year this year. I think that this could be a good year for him as well. Frank Nazar, I could see him having a pretty good year. Lucas Reichel's another good one. Slaggert. I think that all these guys getting that veteran presence around them is really going to help. I think that it just helps the confidence of those younger players, and I would like to see that going forward. I really hope that the Blackhawks are, if not contenders, at least be like a believable for real. Like if you can show what your path of building to success is and you can stand on it with merit, being in games, not being shut out, that sort of thing. I really think that, I really think that what they're trying to do is very much so accomplishable. I think that they could end up doing another run like the 2010 to 2015 Blackhawks. I think that is absolutely reachable with who you have on this roster as far as young guys go. It's just about how you could coach them up. And like I said, I think that the way that they have the roster and the lines mixed with veterans to help build that and give those young guys that confidence, it really should help in the long run. So I'm really excited to see how they build this year. I'm not expecting any sort of legitimate run at a postseason for them, but I would like to watch them grow as a team through the course of the 2024-2025 hockey season. That is going to be very fun for me, and I hope that you guys enjoy watching them build too. And with that, we will move on to some Chicago White Sox news. Not really a whole lot going on in the Chicago White Sox land right now. The only very notable story that I have is Will Venable is signing with the White Sox to be their manager. Will Venable just won a World Series as the assistant manager with Texas. He has been the bench coach with Boston, and he was also like a special appointed position to not Jed Hoyer, Theo Epstein, and was also the first base coach for the Chicago Cubs, and then shifted to the third base side. So he has been in Chicago before with the North Siders for a little bit, so he definitely knows his way around the city of Chicago. And I hope for all my White Sox fans out there, being born on the South Side myself, even though I am a Cubs fan, I hope that this helps turn the tides for you White Sox fans, because you guys deserve it. You guys have, outside of that 2018 or 2019 season that you guys had, where you went to the postseason with that roster that you had before bringing Tony La Russa back, which I still to this day do not understand that move. You guys have suffered for quite a long time, and I'm really hoping that Will Venable is the start of an epic rebuild for the Chicago White Sox, because Chicago's a big market. It is a big city. The Cubs are on the cusp of success. They were just outside of the postseason for the second year in a row. I think that, the White Sox could absolutely 100% be there, even though they just came off of a historic 121 loss season. I think that will 100% be in the past. I believe that Venable is the start of an epic process for the South Side. I believe myself that he will bring in some guys that will help turn that team around, because I still think that even with everybody that got traded away, that there is still some talent on that team. I also believe that, through the draft and maybe through some off-season trades and some other things, that you could definitely get the ball rolling on something. Am I expecting them to make a postseason run within the first year? Probably not. I mean, we just went through it with the Cubs and, Craig Counsell. I don't think that that's a very realistic expectation. But I do think that the White Sox they could definitely start cooking something up here. And I mean, I hope that it works out because, like I said, man, the White Sox faithful, they deserve it. Because, I mean, the White Sox are just as faithful as any North Sider at Wrigley, right? You Southsiders love your Chicago White Sox. And like I said, I would love to see two very competitive teams because how awesome would it not be, or how awesome would it be to see, a Cubs White Sox World Series? I mean, you look at it that way. Each game for each team is a home game because you're in the city of Chicago. So, that would be epic. So, I really hope that helps turn the tides for you guys, man, because I think that, signing Vanable, depending on what his contract looks like, maybe it's to say that Reinsdorf might start getting his head out of his ass a little bit as far as being a cheap ass. Maybe, maybe not. But at the same time, I hope that it is. I think it is the first step in the right direction, signing somebody like him that just came off of a World Series winning team. Um, I like that for Chicago, 100%. I really like it for Chicago. So yeah, moving on to the Chicago Cubs portion. Um, it starting to sound more and more like Cody Bellinger is probably going to opt out of his contract with the Chicago Cubs. I think everybody on the north side saw this coming. I can't really say that I'm very surprised. Yeah, would I love to see him back? Yes and no. I mean, me personally, I have seen enough improvement out of PCA to put all the eggs in the basket on him in center field and seeing if he can sustain his last 2 months of success at the plate and see if he can translate that into a full season. I'm behind that. I'm willing to see him become the center fielder for the Chicago Cubs. I think it's time. Him and Miguel Amaya both at the last 2 months of the season really kicked it in the overdrive at the plate, and both of them showed me that they are serious about wanting to be a mainstay for the Chicago Cubs and being a part of that next core. And so if Bellinger stays, great. I would love to see more belly bombs at Wrigley Field. If he doesn't, I can't say that I'm mad. Go get your money, my man. So, obviously we have to wait for the postseason to officially start on that to see that. But we will. I'm starting to see a lot of Cubs podcasts like CHGO and Locked On Cubs and the podcast that I dominantly watch. They're starting to kind of pick up some steam on it, on if they think Cody will opt in or opt out. So I just wanted to mention that at the forefront for the Cubs news. Some targets for the Chicago Cubs that came out. A One Sports Illustrated video, or I'm sorry, article, not video. An article about the Cubs potentially being connected to free agent Willy Adames, and that one's actually kind of interesting to me. I mean, honestly, because you already have Dansby Swanson, but he's projected to a 6-year, $144 million contract, and you got Dansby on a 7 for 177 or 174 or 177, and really, with his ties to Craig Counsell, it 100% makes sense. I think that the Cubs could be a legitimate landing spot for Adames just because of Craig Counsell and that connection. The only thing is, how do you navigate Dansby Swanson? Do you shift Dansby to second, or do you play Adames at second? I'm not 100% sure which way you'd want to go about that. But then that also says something about Nico Horner, is if you're going to legitimately look at if you're legitimately going to look at Willie Adames, what do you do with your star shortstop, Gold Glover, Nico Horner? Because I mean, you're going to have essentially three shortstops on your team then, because let's not forget that Nico Horner's natural position is shortstop, and he just happens to be really good at playing second base. But Willie Adames, man, I mean, he would be something that you would really want because you need slug on this team right now as it stands. And you thought that you could get that production out of Morel and Wisdom combined, and that obviously did not work out because Morel is no longer here. I could see them non-tendering, Wisdom this offseason. I don't see why you would really bring him back now that you have Isaac Paredes. And you would play him at first a couple times, but now you also got Michael Bush over there. So I think he's going to be the odd man out. And I mean, he had a 118 OPS, talking about Adames here, a 118 OPS plus. He sets career high marks in hits 153, doubles 33, home runs 32, and RBIs 112, as well as runs scored 93 and stolen bases with 21. He did all of that in one season, and it was also his fourth straight 3-WAR season. So I think he makes a ton of sense for Chicago. And really, every time he comes to Wrigley, he always seems to hit a home run. He's always slugging at Wrigley. I think you give him a full season at Wrigley, that 32 home runs could easily be 35 to 40. I, again, think that with the connection to Craig Counsell that he has, it does sound like it could be actually a really likely landing spot for him, and I would welcome him with open arms. To be honest, I would be pretty stoked to get someone like Willie Adames. And then there was also by Sports Illustrated a pitcher. It was I don't have the article up in front of me, so I don't have the stats that I read off in my Cubs video that I posted, but the Cubs could be potentially linked to Jack Flaherty because he was traded to the Dodgers, and I believe his contract is up at the end of the year. At least that's what I read in that article. And I think that him with Justin Steele and Shota Imanaga right up at the top of your order, that would be a very dangerous 1, 2, 3, no matter what order they go in. And I wish I could have this article back up in front of me because they had his stats pre All-Star break was like mind-numbingly stupid. Like they were stats that I hadn't heard of since Kyle Hendricks in 2016. Like they were some crazy, insane stats. And look, the starting rotation for the Chicago Cubs needs help. I mean, that's no real secret. I mean, yeah, sure, you had Imanaga and Steele and Tyone, but I mean, your 4 and 5 pitcher was kind of a mix all year long. There was really never a solid fifth man in your rotation. And I think if you could link yourself up with, something like Flaherty, and you have Flaherty, Steele, Imanaga, and Tyone, I think that makes it easier to go and decide from within the organization a solid fifth starter. So I think that could make sense for the right money. I don't know what kind of contract he's projected to land at this point, but he's looking at winning the World Series because as it sits right now, the Dodgers are up on that series, 3-1, and I have a feeling that they're absolutely going to obliterate when they go back to Dodger Stadium. So I have a feeling that World Series is going to get wrapped up tonight, regardless. And then. I'm also seeing this new article about potentially looking at Jerickson Profar. I mean, I'll have to. I'd have to look up on that one a little bit, but I'd have to look up into that one a little bit. But um, let's see, just right here, quick in this article, 134 OPS plus, 24 home runs, and 280. Yeah, I mean, again, you're looking at going out to get slug this year, I think. Um, so I believe that could definitely help with your slug. I mean, if you're able to land both him and Adonis, I don't know what those odds are. Probably very slim, because of the way that the Ricketts like to spend their money the last couple of years. But like I also stated in my last video, Jed Hoyer basically knows that he's on his last couple. He's on his last leg here and running out of time because he's going into 2025 without a contract extension. So I think that he might just say, hell with it. I'm just going to ball out and go get everybody and their brother that I can this year. And we'll see what we could do with this, Chicago Cubs roster. Maybe he does do that. I don't know. That'd be actually fantastic if he did. I'm not going to lie. That'd be really fun. But, I think that only time will tell, really. I'll be honest. I think that time will tell. And, yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm just waiting for the World Series to end so that we could start seeing what happens in the free agent market, what happens with Cody Bellinger, and then also the winter meetings. I'm really waiting just for those winter meetings to roll around because that's when a lot of business starts picking up in the off season. So right around mid-December, there should be plenty of Cubs and White Sox videos to come talking about what's going on with the winter meetings and the off season and all that sort of stuff. So I'm very excited for that. And then finally, we make it to the Chicago Bears, and boy oh boy, man, I just got done lighting up Matt Eberflus in an earlier video today about his lack of commitment to accountability because he keeps stating that all of their accountability is behind closed doors. And I mean, come on, that can only go so far. It really can only go so far. You can't keep pushing the blame behind that door, or not blame, but that accountability behind that door to where no one can see it. You're the head coach, and being the head coach, you got to take responsibility in the media, and sometimes that hurts, and sometimes you don't want to do it, but you're the freaking head coach. You got to do it. It's just, I stated this in my video earlier about this, and I'll say it again here. I see the writing on the wall, and I am out on Matt Eberflus, mainly because he has a lot of similarities to Matt Nagy as far as being very politically correct with how he, or being very political with how he answers questions, and beating around the bush, and then side skirting certain questions altogether. And to me, it's very disappointing when the captains of your offense and your defense is coming out and taking blame where blame is placed and taking that responsibility so that they can move on and learn from it. And he, as the head coach, just will not. I think that it's quite ridiculous. I mean, it's what you get paid to do, and you have to start doing it. And does that defeat against the Commanders knock you out of the playoffs? As long as the Commanders win their division, no, not necessarily. But if their division catches up to them and all of a sudden they're in a wild card spot, well, then the Bears are kind of screwed because that's your tiebreaker right there. If you're fighting for that second wild card spot. So, I mean, I'm not saying that the road to the postseason is impossible, but it is highly improbable because of some of the coaching decisions that happened. Because there's a couple of times in that game where, Eberflus, you're on the headset and you hear some of the play calls coming from Shane Waldron, and you 100% have the ability to say, nope, we're not going to do this. We're just going to stick to what works. Like, for instance, that fumble at the 1 yard line with a backup center when Roshan Johnson is 5 for 5 when he is within the 5 yard line. I'll say that again. 5 for 5 inside the 5 yard line. And you're like, nah,
we're going to go with our center on this one. What? I can give Shane Waldron just a little bit of leeway for a couple of reasons. One, it is a new organization for him. He has a brand new rookie quarterback, and there is a learning curve there, so I will give him that. And weeks 3 through 6, he showed continual improvement just like the rest of the offense did. Does that excuse the bad play calling? Absolutely not. But if you can come out of this in the next 3 to 10 weeks of the season, if you can show continual improvement while making less and less boneheaded calls, then I could say that I'm a little bit accepting of the stupid calls, because at least when you make a stupid call and the week after you go out, you make adjustments, and you actually make play calls that make sense, at least I know that you are at least trying to learn in that. To where Eberflus just keeps doing the same thing week in and week out with the media. And then also, at that Hail Mary, you want to say that those 14 yards didn't count the play before. I'm sorry, but in what world does 2 plus 2 equal 5? Because you needed to try to keep them within the boundaries. And you knew that. You knew you couldn't let the time stop. They didn't even have any timeouts left. And then you let them get close enough to a guy with damaged ribs launch a ball downfield without also calling a timeout, because Tyreek Stevenson was way off into La La Land, taunting some fans. I think that that is the fourth game with a probability to win of 90% or better that you gave up in the last couple minutes of the game. Inexcusable. Just inexcusable. Right? And the injury bug keeps kind of biting the Chicago Bears too. Their offensive line is having struggles because they keep having guys go down, and the trade market is absolutely wide open, it seems like. I mean, I would 100% be okay with giving up a little bit of draft capital just to go get you a guy to get you by for the rest of this season, and then maybe the next year or two, if that's the kind of option that's available, if it's better than what you have now. And the other thing that's irritating me is that you, time over time, are seeing that some guys on this offensive line aren't working, and you're rolling out the same guy every single week without improvement. I don't get it. You keep preaching about all the depth that you have. I'm at the point where I don't give a damn of how much depth we have, because of the fact that Caleb Williams is on his ass or running just like Justin Fields was. Don't get me wrong. I think that Caleb Williams is a way better pocket passer, and I also think that he's more confident in the pocket, and I also appreciate the fact that he knows when he should and shouldn't run for the most part. Is there times that he holds onto the ball too long? Yes. Is there times that he takes a sack for a loss when he could throw it away? Yes. But he knows how to read a defense. He knows what he's looking at. He knows how to make plays happen at a much higher success rate than Justin Fields. And that is with the same terrible offensive line that Justin Fields had last year. Just imagine if you can get him some help on the left side of the line, because that is where most of your problems are coming from. It is the left side of the line. Imagine if you can get him just a little bit of help. I would argue that your only loss so far would be to the Texans if he had a little bit better protection from the left side. I could honestly 100% argue that. But this is the cards that we have been dealt, Chicago Bears fans. This is the cards that we have been dealt. All we can hope for is that after this game in Arizona, the trade deadline is a couple of days after that. Hopefully we can get some type of help on the offensive line. And I mean meaningful help, not just another depth piece. Somebody that is on paper and video better than what we are rolling out on that left side of the line. I think that Williams deserves it. I think that DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, DeAndre Swift. I think they all deserve it. And then most above all, your defense deserves better offensive production because your defense is the only reason why you've won like any of your games to this point, other than Jacksonville when Caleb Williams went absolutely off. But you got to be able to help that. You got to be able to protect that quarterback better. You have to find a way to make that happen. I don't care if you bring someone in from the practice squad just to see if they even remotely look better than what's going on the left side of the line right now. You got to do something. Because, like I said, your key offensive studs, they deserve it. Because if Caleb Williams gets more time, he's getting the ball to Odunze. He's getting the ball to Moore. He's getting the ball to Keenan Allen. He's getting the ball to anybody that he wants to. I mean, we've seen it. When he has time, he throws dime pieces to everybody. Everybody. Like, he uses everybody on the field. And he's basically got a carousel going on who has the best game. There's a game where Keenan Allen had 2 touchdowns. There's a game Cole Kmet had 2 touchdowns. There's a game where DJ Moore had 2 touchdowns. I am waiting for the Rome Odunze 2 touchdown game so bad, and I know it's coming. You just gotta help protect him a little bit better. Not even a lot. Just a little bit. You just got to help him on that left side because that's where your holes are. I think that I think that the Bears are definitely going in the right direction because we were sitting 1-5 or 1-6 at this point last year. It was not good. So listen here, Blackhawks fans, White Sox fans, Cubs fans, and Bears fans. Give me your opinions down below. How's the audio? Does the audio sound better when I'm using my headphones? Does it sound better coming from the phone? Let me know. Give me your opinions about Chicago sports below. What do you want to see happen for the Cubs and White Sox this year? What are your hopes in seeing the Blackhawks learn and grow in the 24-25 season? What do you want to see from the Bears the rest of the season? Where do you think that the Bears are going to end up? I still have my predictions at 10-7. I think that if you could split your divisional series and win the non-divisional games, you should be all right. But let me know. Let's have a discussion. Drop a comment down there. I will be sure to respond to your comments because I like talking with you guys. And if a comment has a good point, I will bring it up in a video. Like the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell. Let's try to beat that YouTube algorithm. Chicago fans, I will catch you later.